Hello and welcome back to Advanced Brain Movement. Today, brains and goblins, and probably stalwarts and decoys, because they always seem to have weird interactions with stalwarts and decoys. Oh, so far just brains and goblins. This looks like an information room. Did it say? Yeah, okay, it did say information room, I just missed it. Goblin movement preferences, okay. Goblins move rather differently than normal enemies, so it's not surprising that they move rather differently when brained, too. One would hope, however, that their brained movement is very similar to their non-brained movement. I somehow suspect that will not be the case. To start with, let's cover their directional preference when following the brain's path, before we look at their close combat style. Like brained roaches, they are smart enough to try different directions when others are blocked by brain-invisible obstacles. However, they treat a command to wait very differently, both in movement preference and execution. Oh dear. Unlike normal-brained monsters, the movement preference of a brained goblin is slightly different. They use the following order: northwest, wait, east, south. Why? Why? Northwest, wait, east, south. Northwest, northeast, southwest, southeast. On top of that, an order to wait is obeyed by goblins, even though other monsters will ignore it. Arbitrary exceptions, which were probably unnecessary, because as they said, the goblin already has very unique movement rules. Oh well. I would be very curious if anybody actually knows why that was done the way it was, but let's just get into it and see what happens. When choosing between east, south, and wait, the goblin will choose to wait. This room in particular highlights this key difference between the movement of goblins and other brain monsters. Right. Interesting. What? Are you not scared of my sword? Okay, now you are. Interesting. Okay. Man, this is going to be a hard entry. This is going to be a hard entry. Okay, so what's this going to say? Preference between... you're going to go west? Right? No, because these two are closer. So, between these three, your preference is south, but you're going to go southwest. Yeah. Okay, here you are not going to wait because you have a preference for moving to the west. Yeah. Are you going to move south? I think you're going to wait because you see those as obstacles. When choosing between south and wait, the goblin will choose to wait. Yeah. Or because you don't see those as obstacles. You think there's a path through there, but you can't move there for some unknown reason, which happens to be that they're blocked. Yeah. Yeah, no, I understood what was going on, I just misworded myself. Okay. Here, I think obviously you're going to step here. Right? Because... no, because of the obstacle. If you're here, what was the shortest path to here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It doesn't matter. Okay, so you're actually going to prefer to move... you're going to prefer to move west because you see these two as equidistant. Because of the obstacle. Nailed it. Okay. The fact that I understood that doesn't mean that I'm going to understand it when I have to actually do this in practice. In a sanitized environment like this, it's not too hard to to reason out what's going on. Okay, here you just got two diagonals. You're going to prefer north, but north is blocked. But these are closer than weight, so you're going to move this way. Easier to point than to remember which one is west and which one is east every time. Just one of those things that I struggle with. This might be a fun room to optimize, actually. Really test your understanding of goblin movement. Okay, before I step here, north. This is north, okay. Nice and easy. Here, it's opposite of this, but in this case you prefer north over weight. Again, a brained goblin will not wish to move diagonally unless it's the best choice, and still prefers moves towards the north and west. However, the difference in how it obeys the wait command can make for some surprising results. Oh boy. Information room. Swordless goblin. No. Swordless goblin manipulation. One of my favorite things. You may already know that your sword is an excellent tool in keeping goblins away from you and directing their movement. However, it is a distraction when it comes to both exploring and understanding how a goblin wishes to move. Fair enough. The chambers in this room will focus on a goblin's movement without this distraction and attempt to demonstrate how goblins can be manipulated in other ways. A goblin doesn't follow a brain's orders at all times. Like normal enemies, if the brain cannot find a route to you, the goblin will act on its own instincts. However, goblins also ignore the brain once the path has taken them close enough to you. Once they are within 2 squares of you, along the brain's path, they will instead use their normal instincts. This is more important than it sounds, and it sounds really weird. Okay, so The brained roach at close quarters can be evaded by taking advantage of the brain movement preferences if they prefer not to move diagonally. In this manner, you can run around the roach. Okay, so that's how I deal with you. You prefer not to move diagonally. So if I move down diagonally... Let's see. If I do that, you're going to move, but then I can do that. Okay. The brain goblin requires more space to do the same thing, even though the brain movement preference is almost identical to a roach. This is because if you let it get within 2 squares of you, it will act as if unbrained. Okay. I've screwed this up pretty badly, yeah. Okay. So what's going on here? I need you to move towards me orthogonally. If I just make a run for the north, you're going to step there, and then... Yeah, now you're acting unbrained. This is weird. I'm not... Yeah, now you're too close, and I'm never going to get around you, right? Well, I mean, I just did. Okay. Of course, if the goblin had not been brained at all, we would not have been able to circle around him without a sword. As with many things, this switch between brained and unbrained movement can be harnessed and used to overcome problems. Okay, close that. These both need to be opened. So basically I have to get to that door. Like that, yeah, I have to track them to me so that I have time to get onto this door. There we go. Okay. That was neat. Yeah, I like that. And that's a good demonstration of how this 2 tiles away thing actually matters. Which I think is also the range at which they start paying attention to your sword, if I remember right. Notice that goblins must be within 2 squares of you along the brain's path in order for them to follow their own instincts. Oh, along the brain's path, right. So here, they're going to be attracted to me through the brain, but then the force arrows will not. So as long as I'm standing here, you're still going to be trying to go up this way because you prefer north. So you're just going to sit here when I'm here, and then when I step here, you're not going to just run through this way on me. Okay. If a goblin is behind a wall or brain visible obstacle and must take the long way around, then it shall follow the brain's orders. Yeah, so you are running around this way. You, however, see a path to me, so you stopped. Okay. I'm just going to wait here. And we're going to do that. Aha, we have found a problem. Okay. Oh, interesting. That was unexpected. Okay, well let's just wait here until you come through, and then we're going to do that. So I think I need to deal with this goblin before I deal with these goblins. They are on obstacles that are brain obstacles, so they don't see the path to me because the brain thinks they're stuck or something. But as soon as I do that, they're now off of it, and from here... yeah, okay. So let's do this. I think this is what this is telling me to do. Something like this. So now if I step off, you're gonna act. Yeah, you act unbrained there. But the instant I step off of here, you act brained again. And then you think the fastest way is through there. So if I do that, you'll come around this way. Okay, there we go. Interesting that you step off, you keep the direction you're facing. This is a brain visible obstacle. Yep, that was the whole point of that in the force arrow. As you may have noticed, goblins are also unbrained if they are standing on a brain visible obstacle. This is again unlike roaches, who will obey the brain if possible in moving off the obstacle. Hurting goblins without a blade can be a tricky task, but careful switching between brain and unbrained behavior can bring results. You may find that movement preferences dictate much of this goblin's behavior. Right, movement preferences in terms of the goblin's individual preferences, not in terms of turn order. I don't know where my brain was going with that. A hint alcove. Whoa, that's an alcove, alright. Will open after the goblin has been lured into the main area. Entering the hint alcove is not necessary to complete the chamber and will not lead to an optimal solution, of course. It is intended to give advice only, if such is required. Okay. Okay, first of all, what are we actually trying to accomplish here? Okay, this allows me to shut access, this allows me to open access. What I need to do... okay, first of all, I'm going to do this. You don't even move. Why? Because you see a path You see a path to me, but it's not a path you can actually take. So you need to be unbrained in order to ever step onto this arrow. So the first thing is that. That gets you across the arrow. Now you're going to... You don't see a path to me, so you're probably just going to sit here. Yeah. Okay. Okay, now I have access to this hint alcove. So what's next? Do I need you to hit this? Hitting this closes that. Like, this pressure plate probably exists for a reason. But it's a multi-hit, so it doesn't matter. It's currently closed. So if you step there or not, it doesn't matter. You step here, you also close that, you also close that. You up here. Okay, so what we need to do, somehow, is we have to get you from here into here. Okay, this is going to be fairly tricky. Oh. Or you can just jump the diagonal. Okay. Well, with that in mind, let's have you step on that. Yeah, and now you prefer... Okay. Right, because you see this as the path to get to me. So if I wanted you to go here, I need... What does this do? Toggle. But as soon as I get closer to here, you're going to prefer this path. Yeah, okay, from there. So if I want you to go here, I need you to be up here when I'm over here unbrained. Okay, what if I do this? You see, this is a path to get to me. Okay. But that's gonna cut you off. Okay. If I unbrain you from here, what good does that do me? You're just gonna run down this way. I really need you here. Because there's no way I can kill these brains. I need the Briar to clear this out for me once I step here. Okay, so what if I do this? You come down this way. It's open, it's fine, but obviously this is closer than going around. Yeah, and that's not going to do me any good. So I want you on that. What if I wait on here? That doesn't quite work where I thought it might. Okay. That opens everything as much as it can be. If I close this, like I've already used these. Okay, well, if I got you here, if I could get you here and stuck, like in this little area, and then I unbrained you, I could maneuver you by going north and south here. So let's do something like that. That was unexpected, but okay. Now you're unbrained. Right, because you're trying to move through the brain. In that case, it is actually closer than that. And you prefer weight over that move. Okay. I screwed this up. Okay, let's undo. Do we want you? Yeah, we want you unbrained. And then we're gonna go here. Like that. Okay. Let's actually read these, see if we can get a better understanding of what we just did. Note that use of this alcove will close all doors as a small penalty. You will have to reopen them yourself afterwards. Okay. We'll do that by restoring. Actually, the room is unsolvable, I guess, in this state. The three important pressure plates in the Goblins area are the northwest, west, and center ones. Remember the movement preference of a brain goblin: northwest, weight, east, south, and then the diagonals. The path of the brain goblin towards you will always lead through at least one brain invisible obstacle. You can close the doors while you're in the outer rim to cause the goblin to become unbrained. Also remember that they're also unbrained when the brains tell them they're 2 tiles away from you. The west plate can only realistically be hit by an unbrained goblin. This one? But if the goblin is unbrained too long, it'll hit the south plate. I mean, this plate did get hit by me walking this way, didn't it? It was still brained at that point. Maybe I had an unintended solution? Maybe I don't remember what I did quite correctly. Remember that brain goblins can get stuck on brain invisible obstacles far more easily than unbrained goblins can. This is true. The goblin's west pressure plate is best dealt with by being close to the goblin and simply heading south past it. The switch between unbrained and brained rules will take care of the rest. Okay, yeah, there must be another way of doing this. The center plate can only be reached by an unbrained goblin, and that goblin will have to start to the east of it. After hitting the west plate, you will have to lure it to the east without hitting any other plate. Brain distance is your ally here. Even unbrained goblins are able to sidestep problems if you give them too much leeway. Only lure as much as necessary, no more. You will never need to step on the southeast pressure plate. Okay. Again, since I have that checkpoint, I'm just going to... Oh, okay. That's what they mean. Here it's unbrained and then it's brained again because I go further away. Yep. And then if I do this, I mean I could do it that way. Just doing purely brain stuff too. And actually I don't even have to hit this again because I've already hit that, and so I can actually just take the scroll here and I'll be fine. Hopefully you should now be getting an idea of how a brain goblin moves under various circumstances without your sword interfering. Which I guess is what the last room is going to be, unless there's more than one. How your sword and other complications affect your brain's goblin movement will be covered in the next room. Both movement preference and when a goblin chooses to disobey a brain will be demonstrated to be important things to remember. Yeah, it keeps going. I kinda had a feeling. Goblin swords and stalwarts. This room will examine some of the more complex interactions dealing with brain goblin movement, namely how they react to swords and additional targets. Your sword threatens every tile around it. Goblins do not like being next to your sword, and as a result they will stay well away from it if they can. This creates a 3x3 danger zone in the direction you're facing, starting with the tile you're standing on. Okay, that's an interesting way to think about it. Yeah, so goblins don't want to be basically in the 3x3 square around where you're centered on your sword. Okay. This danger zone is a movable obstacle that is capable of keeping goblins 3 squares away from you, just outside the unbrained radius. You will find hurting a brained goblin to be quite different to hurting an unbrained one. The first chamber shows the basic range of effect your sword has if you could cover all directions at once. The doors start closed to show unbrained movement. When unbrained, the goblins wish to reduce their distance to you, measuring this as a straight line between them and you. The diagonal squares may be 3 tiles away as well, but the line is longer than if they're in the same column or row as you. After 10 turns, we will drop the door and use the brain invisible obstacles to simulate brained movement around your sword's range. Because they're more than 2 squares away from you, they follow brain movement preference. They also use brain distance. Now they consider those diagonal squares to be exactly the same distance from you as the others, and since they prefer not to move into your sword's range, simulated by the brains, they must choose between several tied squares. This preference moves them to the north and west, so they end up congregating in the northwest corner. This desire to circle to the northwest will be noticed when we actually begin hurting. After a total of 20 turns in the chamber, we will open the way to a second tunnel. This is going to release the briar. While unbrained, goblins can be held indefinitely in place by pointing your sword at them in either the northwest, east, or south directions. A brained goblin will be much more skittish. The movement preference of a brained goblin will cause them to only easily stand still when they're to the northwest of your blade. In the next room, you will have to make the goblin stand still on the pressure plate for 10 turns. Let him out by striking the orb. Okay, bomb blows up the briar. You don't want that, which means that we can't just do this ourselves. So your preference is going to be the northwest. That was what this room demonstrated. So I suspect I want my sword diagonally here. Yeah, there we go. Yeah. Oh, okay, that's interesting. And because you're brained, I can actually. Okay, I can't push you diagonally, but that's interesting. Wow. I saw that force arrow a little bit too late, I guess. Well, it was easy enough anyway, so let's... go through. It pays to remember that a goblin will only avoid the sword of its current target. Right. A goblin chooses this target in the same way as when unbrained. Observe how the nearby stalwart lures the goblin into walking next to your sword. So open, and after the stalwart dies, we can... Oh, are those broken walls? Against the force arrow. That makes sense. Okay. That's also why he wasn't turning. Okay. Yeah, I got it. So standing here with my sword here, Goblin doesn't want to step here, but because of the stalwart being its target, it's actually not that scared. The unique way in which Goblins become unbrained when close is what finally lured the Goblin out of your path, but it was the stalwart being there in the first place that got the brain Goblin to walk next to your sword. However, Goblin's full reaction to stalwarts and decoys, again, it's always stalwarts and decoys, is rather different than when unbrained. Why? Why were these things coded the way that they were? After all, a brain can only work out paths to you, not any other target. I complain about stalwarts and decoys, but I mean, I think the brain is really the culprit here because it only has a path map that can handle one target, like one destination. So yeah. Okay, we'll release the goblin. A brain goblin with a path to you does not try to head towards the closest stalwart or decoy, even though it may be their target. They follow the brain's path as normal and are attracted towards you. However, the only sword they pay attention to is that of their target. Okay. So they're completely ignoring these swords because these decoys are not targets. And even though the decoys are within range, and I am outside of that decoy range, because there is a brain, and the goblin has a path to me, the decoys would only exist as brain invisible obstacles. Okay. Wait, what's happening here? Are you targeting the decoys? Wait, what's happening? What are you doing? I mean, that's more what I was expecting. Okay, let's see if I can understand this. The goblin walked past the first decoy because the brain's path was taking it right to you, but when it was close enough to the second decoy, it started treating its sword as a deterrent and fled. Oh, okay, yeah, so it's ignoring the decoy. Okay, so the goblin and the brain have different targets. The brain's target is me. The goblin's target was the decoy. So in that case, goblin moves north. Here, brain's target is me. Goblin's target is decoy. But swords are scary. So because this is its target, it's scared of this sword. And that's why here it's not scared enough, so I guess the brain moves it. But let's do this again. Yeah. So here, its target is here. So the brain tells it to move here. Okay. Here its target is here, sword is scary, so it runs away. Okay, I got it. This reaction is also different from most brained monsters who are attracted to decoys instead of you if a decoy is close enough to be their own target. Goblins will head toward you no matter how close the decoy is when brained. Okay. Same as serpents when brained. Something else I learned. Now that's just a disarm. Remember that brain's path will always lead to you, but within 2 squares of you, goblins become unbrained. Also, even when brained, they will always take the opportunity to kill their target if possible, rather than follow the path to you. Okay. These are all on arrows, I guess? So I just have to run through here, and this will work. No, if I just run through here, I die. Right, because I need to actually... Oops. Okay, yeah, no, the problem is that they're brained. So, I want to... Man, that's weird. I'm just assuming I want my sword for this. Okay, so yeah, because they're within 2 of me, they're brained, but then Starting over, something else to test. I guess I'm testing this with the last of the goblins. Do you prefer stalwarts to me? The answer seems to be yes. Although that might have just been a preference thing. Summarize. Goblins give a different priority to the wait command and act differently when ordered to wait. Goblins are unbrained when the brain tells them they are within 2 tiles from you, or when they're on a brain visible obstacle. Goblins wish to avoid squares next to the sword of their current target unless there's no other choice. They ignore the threats of other swords. When brained, they head towards you even though their current target may be a closer decoy or stalwart. And when brained, they treat their distance from you differently, causing them to circle around you to the northwest if they can't get within the unbrained radius. As a final demonstration of some of these traits taken together in this last room, you must herd 2 goblins onto different pressure plates. The stalwarts make things a little more complicated by sometimes causing the goblins to flee. You are not expected to be able to predict the goblins' every movement. This is more of a demonstration than a practical test. A hint above is available to the east. The 3rd and 5th scrolls contain a partial move list. Okay. So what that tells me is that this is in magic sequence territory, and they're saying this isn't necessarily a good puzzle, we just want you to see how goblins work. Okay. Well, we want them to... they're going to go to the northeast, right? So if I step diagonally this way, we can kind of get them doing the right thing. Here, yeah. Okay. So what's going on there? Goblin is here, and the target is the stalwart, not me, so that's why it runs away. Okay. So I think I actually need to hit this pressure plate first, because I don't think I can get anything through there unless I'm being very, very demanding here. Okay. There we go. Yeah, okay, that didn't quite work. Let's try... You're not gonna go that way. Oh. Because there's force arrows on these, the goblins are never gonna step onto them unless they're unbrained. Great. Okay, that's a complicating factor. So they're never gonna step onto those unless I'm within two hexes of them anyway. Okay, maybe we can do this one first. There we go. Okay, that's one. Alright, so why does that work? Because I step here... Yeah, and your preference is going to be in that direction when every square is bad. Why are you not stepping here, though? Your target's him, isn't it? Or is your target here? I don't even know. If your target was here... then you'd run this way. If your target was here... I would expect you to run here. Maybe the scrolls will help elucidate this mystery. But I'm stuck now, aren't I? So that was not the solution? Okay, I mean... this is starting to feel very magic sequence. Okay, I can do that. The only way that this is gonna work is if you're like standing here, and then I can step here, and then you'll move that way. Yeah. So you're choosing that as your target. You're choosing this as your target, which means that you're safe running here. Okay. I'm not sure what the reason for that is. Is it turn order? If they're equidistant, you prefer the one that's later in turn order? Is that what it is? It's like time clones? So that means I have to come at you from the north. Okay. You. Well, can I get around you guys? In such a way no, that's no good because you're scared. Now you're gonna run up into me. Yeah, that's no good. Somehow I survived that. Okay, there we go. That's one, and that by waiting that way, I managed to break up enough space. Okay. Okay. Now, if I want to read those scrolls, I don't particularly want to do the magic sequence again. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave the room and then I'm going to restore, read the scrolls, and restore back. Sorry, encoder. I know how you hate the restore screen, but there we go. Well done on completing this chamber's optional challenge. Placing a goblin on the western pressure plate first is harder than the alternative. Wait, it was able to track that? And rewrite the scroll? I know you can rewrite the scroll with some sort of scripting magic, but I've never actually... I don't understand how it works, but I know it can be done. I've heard people talk about it. This covers all the basic quirks goblins possess and ends with this series of information rooms. You may continue on to some practical challenge rooms to further practice dealing with brain goblins, or instead return to pursue another topic. Okay, so we got multiple goblin rooms, and we're 45 minutes in. Okay, so we're not even getting through a single monster in this episode. Okay. Alright, just wait for the encoder to settle down, and start reading. Concentrating on getting a goblin on the eastern pressure plate first. Keep the goblins together and lure them into the eastern section. Careful movements and patience at the start can easily entice the goblins into that section. A good way to start the room is as follows. Starting on the open yellow door with your sword facing south. South. Turn clockwise, wait, turn anti-clockwise. Once there, take your time and experiment. Movement order is somewhat important here, so you may have to reposition the goblins a little to get the direction you need. From the end of the directions on the third scroll, the following directions will get the goblin onto the first plate. Turn anti-clockwise, south, wait, south, turn anti-clockwise, southwest, east, east. Okay. So south, clockwise is W, okay. So down, W, wait, wait, Q, Q, S, whatever, we'll figure it out. Down, W, wait, wait, Q. Okay. I managed to improvise something that works. Mostly, I'm just doing this because I'm curious as to what the scroll is going to say. Challenge. It is possible to solve this by driving a goblin onto the western pressure plate first. Okay, cool. Yep, so the scroll does change. And we're back. Okay. We have at least 2, possibly 3 more goblin rooms to go, and that's been 45 minutes, so that's going to be it. We have learned about goblins, and next time we get to actually try to put goblins into practice. I will see you then.